Hey dads, welcome to Father Figures, a podcast dedicated to you, a dad trying to manage and grow your business while being the best family man you can. I'm bringing together dads from all walks of life who live by the mantra, family first, business second. With guests and solo episodes, we'll dive into the lives of dads all over and hear how they manage being the best dad they can, what has worked, and what needs improvement. We'll discuss being a good spouse and role model and dive into the constant pull we have to grow our businesses and support our families financially while supporting them emotionally. Can't wait to have you on this journey. Let's jump in.
So welcome to another episode of Father Figures. I have a good friend of mine, Ryan Roethle, with me. He is part owner of AKA Custom Lids. We're actually in their shop right now. If you can see how awesome it is, I'm in here way too much getting stuff. Father Figures stuff should be coming soon once I get the stuff over to him. But wanted to bring him on. He's a father, business owner, good husband, okay golfer, and I want Ryan to introduce himself. Go ahead.
Hey guys, my name's Ryan Roethle, co-owner of AKA Custom Lids. We've been in business since 2019. I have a wife and two daughters, 7 and 4. Yeah, that's getting into the small details of my life at this point.
Nice. Well, now that we get a little intro into, family life and stuff and work, I know we talked before the show, like, what were some things that were on your mind that you think other dads would like to hear, could resonate with them? Basically, we want to make sure that people don't feel alone. Right?
Yep.
Everyone goes through the struggles of starting a business, having a family, being a good husband, and that just weighs on you, right?
Exactly.
So why don't you take us back to the beginning of, let's start with the family first, and then we'll jump into, how the business kind of tied in, because you guys were married before, you were working a 9-to-5 job, right?
Yep.
And so why don't you go into that a little bit?
So AKA Custom Lids basically started with my partner and a former partner of his. His partner had moved out of state, and I offered, to get in with him, only thinking that this was going to be something that we made about $50 a month on cash on the side. So this has grown into something that's far beyond that. Starting in 2019, yeah, I at that point had seen myself as a 9-to-5er the rest of my life. I don't have entrepreneurial type thoughts that really creep in very often for me. So once this started to pick up, it real quickly started to become 12-hour days plus. Sundays were almost always being 8 hours of normal work, so that I could keep ahead as well. So a lot of what crept into my head during that time is, am I there enough for my family? Am I making the right decision at the time? That crept in consistently. Whether, I'm questioning myself if I had a wife that was willing to take care of the kids, get them ready in the morning, allows me to get started at 5 in the morning. Whereas, that doesn't work for everybody. So finding a schedule that works for you and your family is kind of the biggest thing that made it all work through that. And then, again, back to the thoughts of just always wondering, if something happens today, would I be upset that I'm missing time away from my family to, push my career and hopefully build for our future? But it's always something that is there. And that's one thing that I learned to deal with other thoughts that came through my head. That's one that I never really found a way to get past. It wasn't, I knew it wasn't a bad thing, what I was doing. It was more of what I regretted if something happened right now. And that's, so I'm interested to see other episodes to see if somebody else had, better thoughts on how to get past that, because I'm assuming I'm not the only person that thought runs through their head.
No. And I would be hard pressed to find another business owner who's taking on the challenge of starting a business with a family that doesn't feel that way. But like you said, having a partner like your wife Sarah to help with the kids in the morning and kind of have your back. Like, tell me about your relationship with her, because you guys have been together for a while, right? How does that all work with you being 9 to 5 and then you going, hey, I'm gonna start a hat shop or start the hat shop, and it's like, okay, cool, have fun, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's turned into this, and we're here at 5:30 in the morning,
Yeah,
recording a podcast. We both love it.
Exactly. She didn't know what was coming on. I didn't know what was coming on. So I loved doing what we do here. So this wasn't work to me. It was, I just love doing it. So that doesn't mean that she feels the same way, or as things continually take up more and more time.
Yeah.
That she didn't go through, her stresses were more than mine, because she didn't necessarily want to be thrown into the ball game. And she did that for me, throughout, with, again, not knowing we were going to get to this point. I didn't know how to bring it up to her in the first place, or kind of introduce her to the thought of me putting in so much time, because didn't know what was going to happen. So it kind of all had to evolve as we went, and she dealt with it better than I could have ever expected.
Yeah.
Just, again, now that I'm just full time into this, I take the girls 2 to 3 times a week, get them ready for her before she goes to work. She was getting up at the same time I was at 5. And but it just
and she's got to teach gym class to kids all day.
Exactly. So
and come home exhausted too.
Yeah, it was burning her out as much as it was burning me out. So what I was doing was something that I wanted to do. She was doing something that she knew I wanted to do. So 2 different things, and she's the real rock star in that, because she was willing to take that on. Again, neither of us have entrepreneurial type backgrounds, or like I said, I could have sat behind the 9 to 5 desk and crunched numbers the rest of my life. I would have been happy.
Yeah.
So this was different for both of us, for sure.
Were there any special conversations that you can recall, or like in that time when things started to pick up and you're like, 9 to 5 is still the moneymaker, but this is starting to get bigger.
Yeah.
That you guys had to have?
Yes.
Especially because the kids were around before you started here, right? But barely. They were still, under 2 years old.
Exactly.
Right. So what were those conversations like? Anything particular that you did right or did wrong?
I would say that those conversations continually happened. Yeah. Over a 2-year period before me coming on full time, even occurred. She was open and willing to talk about it with me. Obviously, the stresses she was going through at the same time as what I'm going through. Maybe, more hours involved, but hers, again, is more stress involved. So we talked about it quite a bit. And knowing, I'm working those 60 hours because I want to. She's still doing that for me. So I was well aware of that from the very beginning. And I knew that, any chance I could get to take something off her plate and get her out doing something with her friends, or was something that was going to help her. And that's where I think if you always have the mindset of what is good for us, even though I stressed that relationship at times. I always knew in the back of my head that this was going to be better for us in the future. But I also always, on a daily basis, had her in the back of my head of, what can I do today that will maybe take something off her plate that's 5 minutes or 10 minutes that she could go sit down and relax. So that's just always having your partner in the back of your head that, hey, you can take a little break here, or just little things.
Yeah. And so jumping in, and you said 2019, you started in here. Right? Like, how many hours were you working when you very first started?
I guess probably 4 hours a week.
Okay.
So nothing, we didn't really start getting bigger until 2020, probably later 2020. So it wasn't the type of hours that it was towards the end before I came on full time. Until probably late 2020, 2021 probably is when that first kicked in.
Gotcha. And how have the girls, your two little ones, how old are they again?
7 and 4.
7 and 4. So they've seen you leave your 9-to-5 job. I'm here full time. What are you hoping that they get out of the hard work that you put in? Both from a work ethic standpoint, and then financially for you guys, like, what is the ultimate goal that you want to be able to achieve for them based on the hard work you do?
So basically it starts back with my parents, in the hard work that they instilled in me from the very get-go. We were never given anything. They were never given anything. So that's another struggle that I struggle with. So I always had great role models in front of me. And nothing of what I was doing during those real long work hours tied in my head back to money. It was more of, do I know that this is better for us in the future? Yes. But there was no real thoughts of what we're going to do with that money. It was more of, I have an opportunity to work real hard and see this thing through. And I would be, mad at myself if I didn't give it everything. So it didn't, I think they don't really understand everything just yet. They come to Daddy's Hat Shop when they're sick. They come, when we don't have a sitter. They have their spot in my office, so toys, and they have a good time here. So they see this as a fun place. So I don't think they really are going to know what all went into that for a while. But what I'll try to push on them, just like my parents did, is, and that, again, back to the struggles that I'm currently going through, is the girls are living a better life than what I lived when I was growing up. Is that a bad thing? No. But, do I tend to spoil? I like having ice cream. I like getting ice cream. So if I went out to eat as a kid once a month, that was quite a bit. We didn't get ice cream out. Now we eat out almost every Friday to just relieve, the week. And that's kind of our thing. So I want to still make sure that they know that not, nothing's given, and they're going to have to earn everything. So I paid my entire college through. I still intend to have my daughters pay for their entire college. Whether I change my mind once we get to that point, we'll see.
I remember studying with you in business classes.
Yeah, I probably should have studied a little harder, but
it worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
It worked out.
The mindset right now is that I want them to have to work for that just as much as I did, and I'll help them in other ways. But back when, in any job that I've had, I had goals along the way, but I knew if I worked as hard as I possibly could, that type of stuff takes care of itself. You can't work hard at certain times to try to impress a person to get a promotion or a raise, or just work hard to get a promotion or a raise. You just have to work hard. And that's worked out for me. Not that will work out for everybody, but I've just put in 110% at every job, and I've moved up the chain at every job. And it doesn't go unnoticed when you're pouring yourself into it. So I know that they'll someday understand. And I hope they don't remember that he wasn't there for this. And I don't think they do. I think I lucked out that I haven't heard that from them yet.
Yeah.
So I think I made it out before it was too late.
Yeah. Well, you put in those hours and work when the kids were young, and now, like you said, they're in school, they're starting school, and so you had left your and quickly too with giving 110%. I'm going to go back to that real quick. You can see behind Ryan on the wall. You can kind of see it in this video, all those little tags. Those are all the companies they've helped, and it goes back this way too around the wall. And again, that's just in a couple of years that you guys have done this. My guess is you won't be able to see the paint on that wall soon.
That's the hope.
And so you talk about giving 110%, going for the next promotion. As far as that in the business you guys have, that probably comes in the form of word of mouth referrals, and why one of these companies just keeps on ordering stuff from you. You guys keep adding new things. Like you're not staying stagnant.
Right.
So you took what you learned in the corporate world of like, hey, I'm going to work really hard so I can get the next promotion. It's, hey, I'm going to keep working super hard here so I can add more names in that wall, and we can bring more product to people and make people happier, improve their lives just on apparel and just getting their brands noticed more.
Yep.
Because I tell you, I wear your hats around that you guys make everybody ask about.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's kind of where that's our thing. Now we're doing apparel and stuff, which we love doing. It's the hats are that's what people notice, and it's crazy. We do see the hats everywhere, and that's still something that's crazy to Cody and I, that you can go to an event and see 10 of our hats out of 100 people. So that's still crazy.
Yeah. We were at Noah's Ark last year, and we were walking in line, and someone was wearing one of your hats, and I started talking to them. I don't remember who they were.
Yeah.
I didn't know their name. I didn't know who they were, but I'm like, oh, nice hat.
We've had a story of somebody running into somebody in Vegas with their hat. Yeah. Those are the cool parts of hard work.
Yeah.
Then you can look back at stuff like that and be like, oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, now there's a new struggles that come on for me, that because I just came full time, at this point 5 months ago, 4 months ago. So now come new struggles of, now I have extra time. Where am I allocating that time to?
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a salesman. I love talking and meeting new people and talking about our stuff. But generating new leads, cold leads, isn't necessarily something that's in my wheelhouse. I have enough other stuff that I take care of around here that kind of, I don't need to do sales all the time. But the more that I do, the better, obviously, that we're going to be.
Yeah. And so, you left your corporate job that was kind of stable, salary. You were not going into an office, right? Or were you going in?
When we first started, I was going in. So COVID really, everything kind of aligned here to make this happen. If I wasn't able to work from home, I don't know that we've gotten this far this quick. Yeah.
So you put in all the time at the normal job, and now recently you left, like you said, 4 or 5 months ago, and quit that job. Another crazy ask of Sarah, right? To say, hey, I'm leaving the structured corporate salary and job, and I'm betting 100% on this.
Yeah.
So curious on what the first conversation was with that. And I'm sure you guys have talked about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Officially saying, hey, this is the last day.
Exactly.
Is something different.
And for me, the way that I got past all that stress is if I did a long weekend in Florida or, I got away for a long weekend, that could push me another 4 months, 5 months. And
of doing both?
Exactly. I could come back completely refreshed. And that's all I needed. For her, I can't speak to, what completely refreshed her during the whole thing, but it was a very long period of conversation. I would say, again, from two people who don't have the, necessarily entrepreneurial spirit, and, not necessarily spirit, but thoughts that, that we didn't grow up this way, thinking about this like Cody has. He's a very good entrepreneur, is very comfortable.
Yeah, he's always doing something.
Exactly. So it was over a year and a half, where I kind of knew either I walk away from this or I go all in on it. And I wasn't willing to walk away from this. So she understood that. It was planned to go full time, the 1st of January. And I had just gotten back from a long weekend away somewhere again. And it was the first day, and I got 100 emails, and they don't stop pouring in. And I wasn't refreshed after that vacation. So,
it didn't work this time.
Yes, it did not work this time. And I was just done. I knew it was going to come at some point. I wanted to push it as far as I could. That piece maybe was monetarily thought of at that point was how far can I push myself before I break. But that was the only real time where I was thinking about the money. Was just keep pushing along. So got back from that vacation and I said, I can't do it anymore. I said, I'm going to put in, I gave my other job 8 weeks instead of the normal 2 or 4 because I knew what was going to be passing on from my plate to others. And I wanted to do them right. I loved everybody at that job and they gave me the chance, to get my first office and believed in me the whole way along there. So I said, I'm going 10-1 instead of 1-1. And that was not really a conversation. It was more like, I'm done. And she knew at that point, because we had already had the talks, she was okay with 1-1. She was going to be okay with 10-1. She knew, and in the back of her head, I'm sure she was happy then. But still, her always wonder is, well, what stops you from going 60 hours here and then still staying 60 hours? And I said, no, I will guarantee you that I'm not going to be working 60 hours right off the get-go. I said, am I going to get back to that at some point? Maybe not that many hours, but I like being here at 5:30. I feel like my day is on track when I'm here at 5:30. When I'm getting here at 7:30 or 8, my mind is just not the same. Now I enjoy taking the girls to school. It's one of my favorite things to do. So it's not like I'm spending my time doing something bad, but I also don't have to walk into 2 sets of emails now. So if I ever took them before, it was a minimum 100 emails that I was walking into. Just to catch up on those is going to take me till 10 or 12. And then others that poured in, it's just a constant stress. So I think she's definitely okay with how things are and worked out. But it was many, many conversations that took us to this point.
As far as like the stress load goes from having, basically 2 full-time jobs, right? So you're always thinking about one of them,
Right.
even when you're not there and you have 2 things weighing on you and you're just thinking about 100 emails that I'm going to wake up to tomorrow morning.
Right.
And then I'm still trying to grow this. I got the family. Like, how did the stress, how did you manage the stress? Let's start there while you were in the thick of that. Girls are young, basically 2 full-time jobs. How did you manage the stress besides those? Or was it only this, hey, I can take a vacation once every 4 months, and that was then let me to my burnout point, and then I need to take another vacation?
Exactly. That was a big part of it. I get asked quite a bit, how many times do you go to Florida a year? I'm like, I need to go to Florida. I need to go to Florida. Otherwise, I'm not going to be in good mental health shape. Yeah, it was a continual grind. Thinking back, that part of it, I don't really know how I dealt with it on a daily basis. It was, again, remembering half of that puzzle was something that I still enjoyed doing my full-time job. Mm-hmm. So it was not anything that I was doing during my day that was something that I was disliking. It was just the load of it, all of it being together. So I mostly enjoyed being in the grind. It was just times where, it never stopped from both sides. And that's where it burned me out. Yeah. I think, part of what I wanted to talk about coming on here is there's enough stress in life, and I don't know whether I think about things in the back of my head more than the next person, but I'm always trying to be a better person and do things better for my family and, all around be a better person. So, in the midst of that, I would say that everybody in their life at some point gets them to the point of comparing themselves to others. And I found out, during this, I definitely didn't have the mental capacity to do those and then try to compare myself to others because, so-and-so is this far along in life. And it just takes me back, thinking of, coming on here and talking about this, that you just work as hard as you possibly can with your family in mind and your significant other on board, and let all those bad thoughts go somewhere else, which is very hard to do in the grind of the day-to-day. But if you're trying to get where someone else is, that's not going to work. You've got to have a plan in place, and there's plenty of businesses that didn't make it, even when people are very hardworking. So we hit many things along this journey that were like so-called good decisions, decisions that worked out for Cody and I that we made, together, that 1-2 of them could have not worked out, and, things don't end up the same. So you go with the decision you make, you work hard at it, and trust in God that, that is the right decision. And both of us having full-time jobs allowed us to make those decisions without worry. Mm-hmm. Now the decisions become a little different.
Yeah.
But the same mind thought goes into it. You make the best decision you can at the time and you never think twice about it. You're going at that goal that, the whole time. So I would say that comparison to others is definitely something that crept into my mind. Not so much money wise, it's just more, they're at the point that I am now, where they put in the hard work already, and they don't have to be putting in 60 hours, and they can be golfing. That's something that I was able to quiet after a while in my mind, was just, what are you really trying to think about others for in this point? All you have to do is think about yourself and continue to do what you've done, And am real lucky that, the partnership I have with Cody is, something that's gotten us to this point. We're both very proud of getting here, and that's an achievement on its own. And it doesn't matter what somebody else has done or hasn't done, because it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
100%. I think the comparison is just a thief of joy. When you accomplish something, or even if you just stop doing a bad habit, and then you compare and you're like, well, this person stopped doing this bad habit or got here a year ago or 2 years ago. It's like, well, you threw all of the fun that you just had out the window because you're comparing yourself to some dude or a woman who have no idea what else they're going through.
Exactly. And they put on a good face at the time and make it look easy, but everybody has bad thoughts creeping in their head.
Yeah, you're sitting here like, why am I working? How am I working 60 hours a week? It seems like you don't have to work that hard.
Right.
It's like something isn't right then. Nothing comes easy.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And it was something I wanted to do. So, get into a comparison thing and say, why am I working this hard? Or, why am I? Because you chose it, and it took me multiple times to get to that in my own head. You chose it.
Yep.
So. Yeah. What are you mad about here?
You can unchoose it at any time.
Exactly.
I'm going to go back to a corporate job and
exactly
clock out at 4 and forget about it until 8 tomorrow morning. But there's always going to be, like you said, that regret. Like you said earlier, if you didn't go for it, you would regret it.
Yeah.
Probably at that time you didn't really know what that regret would feel like, and you never wanted to. Right. It's probably like some worst case scenario of, I'm just stuck in the office. I'm miserable when I'm 45 years old, because I think a lot of people do get stuck like that. It gets too comfortable being, salaried. I'm making money. We're living okay.
Yep.
Right. We're not stressed too much about money, but you start to lose the emotional fulfillment of saying, hey, I'm doing something for myself, for my family. I control this. And really instilling in the kids to, like, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Don't ever tell me you can't.
Right.
Right. I think that's probably something that I look to instill in Sawyer as much as humanly possible.
Right.
It's like, be respectful when people ask you to do something, right? But question it.
Yep. Exactly.
Right. Or question like a norm that everyone else is doing. Why? Maybe I don't want to.
Right.
Maybe I want to go do something else. And maybe that'll get him in trouble as he's a 7-year-old and I'm telling him this stuff. But I want him to question, and I want him to realize that he doesn't need to just conform to everything that someone else tells you should do.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the fine line with, 7-year-old and in my case, 4-year-old too, that you want to teach them that. It's just how much in pieces, but I think they'll understand, knowing you and me, they'll understand that by the time they get to high school. Even when it comes to sports, they're allowed to do whatever they want to do, or any activity.
Yeah.
You had mentioned Sawyer chose to go to camp over swimming lessons, and that was hard to take
over his golf lessons.
So
he's like,
but you let him do what he wanted to do, and that's the same way. They're going to do what they want to do, and whether they're good at any of them, just as long as they're having fun. So,
that is it's something to give kids choices, and it was something like you said, you guys didn't have like that entrepreneurial mindset right away. If you guys didn't have parents that were entrepreneurs, and I didn't either, like you go to school, and if you want to do something in corporate world, it's awesome. I was never introduced to the entrepreneurial world until probably 5 years in at my corporate world, my corporate job, and it's like, no, there's other things that I could do, but it was just never brought up. They had a couple of classes in school, right? And so it's like there wasn't the choice.
No.
And not to say it was forced upon us. Like we just didn't know.
Right. That's I can fully concur with that.
And so
didn't know.
So with the kids, it's like how can we show them both sides of, yes, you can go work somewhere, make a big impact with a big organization, do something, or you can start making $50 a month at a hat shop,
right,
and turn it into something really cool.
Yeah.
But allowing them the freedom to make those choices, just like if they want to do a sport, just like if they want to do something. So opening it up to more opportunity, and not giving them an opportunity, but opening it up and sharing what these opportunities are.
Right.
That's probably different than the way that we grew up.
Exactly. And I think, my mom had went to a technical school, but really didn't know what she was going for at that point. But college was even something new, for my family. So I think in our kids' mind, they're going to see it as normal. Now that you and I are both entrepreneurs, going to see it as the norm. Whereas, I didn't have any of that in my family or anybody really close to me. So it wasn't something that it just didn't creep into my brain because I didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
And Cody brought that out in me, and I'm so happy he did. So I think they're going to have an easier look at it than you and I did just out of the gate because, now we're in these roles. They're going to see that it's possible.
Yeah.
Whereas you and I didn't see that. It took somebody else to show us, that.
Yeah.
So.
This is so hard with kids, like just from a delayed gratification.
Yeah.
So we're going through this thing with Sawyer right now. He gets these, he's really into Pokemon, and he gets these Legos that he builds. They're like 250-piece Lego sets, and he builds them in like 2 hours. And so he flies through these things really quick. Very, very technical and very well focused when it comes to that stuff. And so last night he was up to like 10:45. And I'm like, dude, I gotta be up so early tomorrow. Like the last thing, he's like, Dad, I need help with this piece. And I'm like, dude, it's 11 o'clock. And so like I'm helping him. And then he's like, hey, this was a couple days ago, he's like, I want this new one. And then, they're not cheap. They're like $35-$40 for this Lego thing. And I'm like, cool, you can earn it.
Right.
Like you have to do chores, you have to do stuff. Like I'll pay you to do things.
Exactly.
I don't want to just give him $40 to buy.
Right.
He gets enough of that stuff. I need to make him earn some of it. But so he's been going and doing different chores around the house.
Awesome.
And we were talking about, he's like, what are other ways I can make money? I'm like, you could start finding, stuff at rummage sales,
right?
Reselling it. Thinking, and then his mind just starts going. He's like, so I can just buy something for less and I can sell it for more and then keep the difference.
Yes, you can.
I'm like, yes, you can, buddy. That's what it's like to be an entrepreneur. No matter what anybody says, like that's it. You have something that's lower cost and you sell it for more because you add value somewhere in between.
Yep.
But there has to be a value added between. And that's where I wanted, rather than just giving him the $40, I wanted there to be a value that they'd work for, whether it's scrubbing floors and, doing all that stuff. We washed all of our windows yesterday, which was awesome.
Exactly.
So he's like, I want this special Pokemon thing, blah, blah, blah. So he's been earning a ton of money the last couple of days doing stuff.
That's awesome. That's the things that, those are the little things that keep them from being too spoiled,
Yeah. That's, how do you balance that? How do you guys balance that?
It's a daily struggle because, you work a long day. You want to come home, and we love doing movie nights. So she'll get the same candy that they have at the movie theater, or, and they'll fill a little cup, and they'll have popcorn, and then,
Yep.
snuggle in on the couch, and that's one of our favorite things to do. So if we ever had to go away from that, I would have now there are things that I really enjoy. So yeah, we still make sure that they're doing stuff around the house, that their rooms are always clean. We're lucky. They want to help with dishes and stuff. We just haven't let them just yet. They're not tall enough unless I have to go get that stool over there, and then it's just adding more work.
We just had a conversation about heavy dishes last night. Julie's like, I don't want them trying to put my plates away.
Yeah. So they're interested in doing stuff. So it's it's different now. I think they might get to an age where they don't want to do anything, and that's where it'll get tougher for us. Is how to motivate them and get them to do things and show them that it takes work ethic to get places. I think it's a daily struggle. And I'm always trying to listen to other people's stories. And again, I'm interested in your other podcasts that you come out with from different fathers that are dealing with all the same struggles, and how people, maybe I'll take one piece out of there, two pieces, three pieces, and they put it into our life, and that'll make a huge change. So I'm always trying to listen and what other people. For her and I wouldn't say we have any tool of doing anything special. It's just more knowing in the back of your head that they've got to work for it. And toys wise, and they're not getting everything that way. We more struggle with the ice cream and the treats on a Friday night, or we're good on the toy side. We've got that figured out, but I have a hard time not enjoying ice cream with them. So that's where we really struggle.
Yeah, those are such good memory makers, though. Just going out, like we love going up to Scoopville and just sitting in one of those old fashioned things. It's just something fun to do.
Yeah,
I think one more thing that I think is really important, and I guess for you guys going forward with you and Sarah, because I think a healthy marriage is key to everything working out, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what do you see, and like, what are you guys planning to do over the next year? Now that you're full time here, if there's anything you guys can improve in the marriage, things you guys have been working on that you want to go into detail on or talk about, I think that might be helpful. I have found that the marriage part is one that I think us guys, myself included, maybe put on the back burner too much. We like I said, we try not to take things for granted, and we have a great partner who's helping us out. What else are you guys planning to do, going forward?
Yeah, it gets back to trying to find ways for her to relieve stress. Now I fully relieve my stress. I love doing what I do. Yeah, I always did, but I love doing what I do. I'm not stressed.
Yeah, it's more freeing now.
I don't have a lick of stress anymore. I have a lot of hours and stuff that I'm doing, what I love, but I'm not stressed anymore. And I've seen a big uptick in my health and everything because of it. But now it gets back to what can we do to get her, stress relievers. Like you said, she deals with kids all day long, and finding ways for her to get out. And I would say that would be the biggest thing that we're working on. And, she wouldn't necessarily say the same thing. It's something I, want to work on, is trying to get her more stress relievers. Other than that, I would say that the marriage is now a lot easier when you're more present, obviously, and when you're around, carrying your half of the weight. She carried the whole weight for so long that now that I'm back carrying some of it, it just has naturally made itself a lot easier. But there's still obviously things we can work on. But currently, it's still in that, first how many months that we've already seen that it be a huge stress reliever for both of us. Mm-hmm. So that's not necessarily anything we're working on. It's more of finding things to do with the kids and planning different things to have fun with the kids. And that's kind of our goals and our mindset over the next year, I would say.
Yeah. Nice. Well, I think it's been a great conversation. I think there were quite a few good pieces. I think people will really resonate with your story, especially just the mental shift that had to happen, the shift of the family that had to happen. That's all crazy impressive. So real quick, last one, obviously with this being the Father Figures podcast, when you think of a father figures, what comes to mind for you, and what does it mean to be a father figure for you?
Immediately think of my dad. A father figure to me, when I think of that immediately, it is somebody who's a really, really, really hardworking person and is doing everything humanly possible to give 110% all day, every day. That's what I think of. Do I want to present as more than that to my girls? Yes, I do. I think a father figure also has, is present in their kids. And not saying that my dad wasn't. It's more of, I always seen him as that was his number one trait. And I knew he loved me. And but now I know, I would say if what I'm trying to be is hardworking, a great family man, and, somebody who's always present with them. Mm-hmm. And that might have been one missing for a little piece there. But that's what I think.
Seasons of life.
Yeah.
Right. Seasons of life. They come and go.
Yep.
Sometimes the seasons are tough, but they change.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, that's awesome. All right. Well, I think that'll wrap us up for today. I know it was an awesome conversation. People will find some value in that. So stay tuned for the next episode. We'll get these out every week. And Ryan, where can they find all your stuff?
We're at www.akacustomlids.com. We're located in Richfield, Wisconsin. We're, go to golf outings, do a couple of other events, but the website, will show you what we're all about and has forms you could fill out and submit logos, and we'll get you back some really cool mock-ups and go from there.
Mm-hmm. You guys will do designs too.
Yep.
Right? If someone has no idea what they want.
Yep.
Like me, I just send them stuff and they'll create something awesome for us. All right, well, perfect. And on social too, you guys have a bunch of cool stuff that you post on social.
Yep.
So, all right, awesome. Well, you guys have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Perfect.